Hey, Reg here with another food for thought rant.
This is a world premiere.
So this video is in response to VegAnn's video about the statement that for every dollar a man earns, a woman earns 77 cents. And first of all, I want to applaud VegAnn for even, approaching the subject of the value of women's work versus the value of men's work. And according to the research that VegAnn did, she discovered that often when you measure the same kind of work, a woman practicing law in the same law firm as a man when they've both perhaps been working for the same number of years, that there's much less of a disparity. She said it's something more like 96%. So 96 cents for every dollar that a man earns, a woman earns, so that there's still a disparity, but it's much less than that 70 cents to the dollar that men earn. So I just wanted to point out one of the issues here is, again, when we're thinking about the world through that dominant cultural lens, we think about work in a very limited way. We think about work as when someone shows up at their office and they, put in a certain number of hours and then they collect a paycheck, perhaps. Or there might be, other ways that people think about work, but it certainly may not be as inclusive of all of the work that goes into building a society, all of the necessary work that is required for building a society. A lot of that work still falls on the shoulders of women in the world, regardless of the fact that men may find themselves in higher paying positions because there may be more risk involved, or because they're stronger, or whatever other cultural stereotype we want to bestow on men that make their work more valuable. We really have to take into consideration that women are actually responsible for a fair amount of the work that is done in terms of making the society run. For example, VegAnn, in your video, you talk about the fact that often a woman mid-career may leave the workforce to have a child, and therefore she's not being paid. But is she still contributing valuable work to the society? Can you imagine if women, for example, stopped having children and the impact that that would have on a society? Yet it is not considered work worthy of pay. It's work that a woman should do because it's her natural place, right? Although men, when they're doing that labor that requires a little more strength, we don't say, well, that's their natural place in society, so let's not pay them any more for that, right? So we pay women less for doing the work that suits them most because of their biological makeup, and we pay men more for doing work that is more suitable for their biological makeup. And then, if we look at the other work, however, that's required from or expected from a woman who stays home to take care of her children, is that all she's doing? Or is she also perhaps keeping the house clean? Is she perhaps balancing the family budget? What are the other responsibilities that that woman might have while she's at home taking care of those children that she's not being paid for, but work that is absolutely necessary for maintaining society? So those are just a couple of other things to think about. How is the valuable work that women do to contribute to society compensated versus the work that men do to contribute to society. For example, that woman taking care of children, raising the next generation of workers who will continue to keep the society running, is paid nothing, while, you know, her male counterpart in society might spend the day looking at a screen, making sure that the money of a very wealthy person is continuing to, you know, grow. So for watching a screen, making sure that that money is still doing what it's supposed to be doing, a man may make $100,000, $200,000 a year, while again, a woman for raising the next generation makes nothing. Now, on the other side of that, there is the opportunity that's afforded to women to work jobs where they might actually be paid more. Now, VegAnn, in your video, it seemed very much that this might be a choice of men to go into lines of work, occupation that earn more, and women, you know, tending to go into lines of work where they earn less. We have to think about how is society directing men into one occupation and directing women into another occupation. Again, for a rant video, that's a lot of information to ask me to look up, but I think that's something that would be really wonderful to have maybe VegAnn you look into and do a follow-up to your own video. Then, finally, I just want to say we should also look historically at the way that women have been funneled into one area, much in the way, you know, we can imagine cattle being, you know, forced down that chute to the killing floor. Women, there were, you know, about 300 years of persecution where women were, you know, actually burned at the stake for not stepping into the roles that society required of them, and they were accused of being witches. I know that that sounds like a really long shot, but there's actually a book by Silvia Frederici called Caliban and the Witch, which tracks the way that women went from being respected members of the family when we were living a more rural life to being forced into the position of, you know, housewife when we became an urban society. So those are just some things that I want to throw in there. I'm going to end this video. It's a rant. I don't want to make it too long, but again, this is just a little food for thought. That's it for this video. Like it if you liked it. Please do comment, like, subscribe. This is Reg signing off. Love yourself. Peace.
And I love myself. The world is a ghetto with guns and pinky eyes.